Good morning. Welcome to another One Mind meditation. A reminder that the easiest, the best way to ease yourself into the meditation is to bring your attention to your breath. Inhale through your nose, aim the breath at your belly, fill up your belly like a balloon. With every slow inhale, and then slowly out. And we'll be ready to float away together shortly. Before we get started, I'll share with you a couple of thoughts from our teacher this week, Hermann Hesse. Have you ever heard of the book Steppenwolf? He was the author of Steppenwolf. It's already old stuff, but it's worthwhile reading. There's some awesome wisdom in that book too. Right, let's get into today's teaching. His words that lead us into today's meditation. He says, I wanted only to live in accord with the promptings which came from my true self. Hey Sunmuddy, good morning. It's good to see you. I wanted only to live in accord with the promptings which came from my true self. Why was that so very difficult? Why was that so very difficult? And there is an answer for that. Why is it so difficult to live in accord with the promptings of our true self? Because those are not the only promptings we get. The inner promptings, the inner voices, the inner feelings, they don't all come from our true self. Some of them, a lot of them, hey Maggie, good morning, come from our scared self. And these are the most confusing ones. Because the promptings we get from our scared self tend to be really loud. Linda, good morning. It is awesome seeing you. A very good morning to you. Anthony, good morning. Good to see you guys. The promptings from our scared self are loud, and well, it's in our design that our scared self would speak loudly because it needs the attention. It needs to get our attention to focus on what's dangerous. And if we focus on what's dangerous, then we have a better chance of staying alive. It's just how we're made up. We can do better. We can deal better with that. But that's his question. I wanted only to live in accord with the promptings that came from my true self. Why is that so very difficult? Because our scared self is so damn loud. That's why it's so difficult. The next thought from Hermann Hesse says, you know quite well deep within you that there is only a single magic, a single power, a single salvation, and that is called loving. Deep within you, there's a single salvation that is called loving. Well then, love your suffering. Do not resist it. Do not flee it. It is your aversion that hurts, nothing else. Love your suffering. We can slightly tweak those words and say, love the parts of you that are in pain. Love the parts of you that feel like they are suffering. The single salvation we have deep within us is love. And we need to extend that love to all parts of us, the parts that are suffering, the parts that are in pain. I love his words here. He says, it is your aversion that hurts, nothing else. And it is so damn true. I'd like to change the word aversion to resistance. Hey, Leshna, good morning. It's good to see you. It is your resistance that hurts, nothing else. It is only how we resist loving the worst parts of us that continues hurting. You are only afraid if you are not in harmony with yourself. People are afraid because they have never owned up to themselves. A whole society composed of men afraid of the unknown within them. If we all became whole in this way, if we all were able to hold all the parts that make up us, all the parts of ourselves that we are afraid of, or the parts of ourselves that we resist? You think we'll live in a completely different world if everyone had that kind of wholeness? A whole society composed of men afraid of the unknown within them. One last quick thought. The true profession of a man is to find his way to himself. In other words, he is saying the only thing we really need to do, the number one goal, is to find our way to ourselves. That is our journey today. Our meditation today is called a sense of self, which really is finding a way to ourselves, finding a way to hold all the parts of ourselves. Hi Gerdes, good morning. Thanks for popping in. I hope you have some time to sit down and meditate with us, if you can. We're starting right now. The examples we'll use today are the things we might be feeling. The examples would be sadness, anger, fear. You don't have to use those examples in our meditation today. You can use your own. And some other examples that might be worth using is guilt, shame. Those are good ones to add if you feel them. Right, if you are ready, here we go. Good morning, Vivian. We are sailing away. You can close your eyes. Let's start with the first few big breaths. Let's take a deep breath in and out. A deep breath in and out. A deep inhale and let it go. A deep breath in and out. One more big breath in and let it all flow away. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose gets drawn all the way deep down into your belly. And as you fill up your belly with air, raise yourself up too. As you breathe in, stretch your spine just a little bit. Bring the top of your head closer to the ceiling. Once you've reached your full height, let all of it go. As you exhale, soften. That's your only real job right now, is to soften. As you breathe out, soften your spine. Slump down your shoulders and drop your head. continue your full body breathing and softening with every exhale, I'd like for you to dip into your own imagination just a little bit. Make this experience as visual as you can. But as you sit and breathe, as your body rises and falls, I'd love for you to invite your own scared parts to come and sit down and breathe with you. Can you imagine, this is how I see it, like a teacher calling the kids for story time, or a parent calling the kids for story time. Gather them around your feet. Our examples today will be sadness, anger, fear. A part of you that often feels sad or sometimes feels sad. A part of you that sometimes feels angry. A part of you that sometimes feels scared. And can you imagine seeing them sitting and breathing with you? Invite them to breathe along with you. As your body rises and falls with your breath, can you see also these inner children rising and falling as they breathe along with you? I'd like to mention again, you might have other examples you want to work with as well. That could include shame, it could include guilt, it could include jealousy. You are free to choose which parts of you want to work with today. These words from Hermann Hesse because I've seen the truth of it so well. It is only our resistance to dealing with our wounded parts that creates for us so much suffering. When we become better at dealing with the parts of us that feel scared, not that pain necessarily goes away, but we no longer suffer for it. We'll do the last few big breaths together with these inner children as we help our bodies stretch, adjust, and settle down. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, drop your head all the way forward. And roll out your neck muscles. And big half circles to the left and to the right. And invite those inner children to do the same. Let's take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders forward in big, slow circles. Take a deep breath in. As you release, roll your shoulders backwards. Take a deep breath in. As you release, focus on your spine. Lean your upper body over to the left. Lean your upper body over to the right. Stretching into back muscles. And in gently stretching into back muscles, you are slowly stretching out your spine. One more big breath in. And as you release, you can stretch, move, or adjust any part of your body that still needs a bit of help settling down. Having stepped into presence as much as we can, you can turn inwards and dive deep inside for the next part of our journey. Let's take a deep breath in. And hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, feel into your body and invite softness into every muscle in your body. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, follow the downwards flow. As you breathe out, feel your shoulders falling, feel your body softening, feel how you are slipping deeper into you. One more big breath in and hold. And as you release, feel yourself melting. Feel your whole body dissolving. Feel how you are slipping into a deeper level of surrender with every slow exhale. You can continue the same breathing pattern on your own time. Every slow inhale through your nose is an invitation. It invites you to turn inwards and follow. As you breathe in, feel the air flow in through your nostrils. Feel the air touch the back of your throat. Stay with your breath as it flows in through your lungs. And as you fill up your belly with air, feel yourself slip all the way in. You are spending a few moments holding you within you. Hold your breath only for as long as it feels easy, followed by a long and slow exhale. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, remind yourself that you have these inner children sitting in front of you. Take your next big breath. We'll turn our attention first to sadness. Again, I want to remind you that you're able to use whatever of your own examples you want to. With your next big breath, you dive deep into you. Remind yourself of how sadness speaks. Maybe you can remind yourself of a recent example when this part of you felt very prominent, when something in you really felt very sad. When that happens, what are the words that sadness uses? What are the things that sadness says and feels? Take your next big breath. I want you to have a quick conversation with sadness. I want you to ask sadness a very specific question. I want you to try and not think up an answer, because we don't need to. These inner children have voices and they speak. Sometimes we might not feel an answer instantly, but often there's a very quick, very real answer. Just allow sadness to speak while you listen. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, ask sadness this question. When you're feeling so sad, what is it that you are afraid will happen? What is it that you are afraid will happen? Take your next big breath. and thank sadness for being here and showing up. While we move our attention over to anger. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, remind yourself of the ways in which anger speaks. You might want to remind yourself of a recent example. How did the angry part in you feel and speak? And sometimes the right question is, how does this part, this anger, often speak? These narratives are on a bit of a recording, and they tend to repeat. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, remind yourself of how anger speaks. Take your next big breath. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, have a little conversation with anger. Ask anger this specific question and try not to make an answer, but just wait and see if anger answers. The question is, when you are so angry, what is it that you're afraid will happen? How are you trying to protect me? What are you trying to protect me from? So with your next big breath, you dive deep into you. What are you trying to protect me from? Take your next big breath. You can say thank you to anger. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being here. While we shift our attention to fear. With your next big breath, as you dive deep into you, remind yourself of how fear speaks. What are the words that this part of you say? Maybe you can remind yourself of a recent example of feeling really scared. What are the words that come up? What is the narrative? Take your next big breath. And then as you have a look at fear, have a quick conversation with fear. Ask this question: when you are so scared, what is it that you are afraid will happen? And perhaps you can add to that one, what is it that you want for us? Your next big breath, you dive deep into you. Ask fear, what is it that you want for us? Take your next big breath. You can thank fear too. In fact, all of these childhood parts, bring them together and tell them thank you. Thank you for sitting and breathing with me. Thank you for showing up and speaking. Putting the last few big breaths of the space together, you might want to ask them to breathe along with you again. Let's take a deep breath in. And hold. As you release, make it a really long, really slow exhale. Take a deep breath in and hold. As you release, invite softness into every cell of your body. One more big breath in and hold. As you release, feel yourself slip all the way through. There is no more attention on your breathing. You can sit all the way back or lie all the way back down and feel yourself just floating. I'll use sadness as an example, but it's true for all of the parts that make up who we are. And a part of me feels sad, and I refuse to listen. A part of me feels sad, and I have resistance to feeling sad. I'm trying to push this part of me away. I'm trying to leave it behind. Of course, it never works. Because if I reject a part of me, if I try and abandon a part of me, I am less whole for it? And does sadness feel any better while I try and push this part away? Does it feel any less sad or just more so? What if I become unafraid? Or maybe even while I'm scared, I turn towards this sad part of me. And I say, I'll sit here next to you. You're allowed to feel sad. Tell me why you're sad. I will listen. What is it you're afraid will happen? Can you see the picture of you sitting next to sadness and putting your arm around sadness and saying, I'll just hold you until you feel better? Doesn't sadness instantly feel a little bit better? We create a war inside of ourselves with our resistance to ourselves. But even more than this, while you can see these child parts within you, while you can take a step away and you're not being sadness, but you can look at sadness and hold it and talk to it and listen to it. If you are not being sadness, then who are you being? If you're not being anger, but you're looking at anger, who are you being? If you're not being fear, but you're listening to and speaking to fear, who are you being? And this is the point. Everything we continue practicing, we can become better at. In the past, you might have been practicing being sadness, practicing being anger. But right now you're practicing being something different. What would you call this part? This space you've stepped into. And know that the more you do this, the more you practice being this part of you, the better you'll get at it. I want to share with you again those first words we started off from Hermann Hesse this morning. He said, I wanted only to live in accord with the promptings which came from my true self. Why was that so very difficult? The promptings that came from my true self. And why is that so very difficult? You know how to find your true self. You cannot be your true self while you're in a battle with all the scared parts. Or when you sit and listen to the scared parts. When you hold them while they are scared. Who else are you being but your true self? Keep practicing, and you'll become so much better at this, being your true self. We have the last 5 breaths of gratitude to do together. With every exhale, I'll say my thank you, and you are invited to say yours. Let's take a deep breath in. Thank you for becoming deeply acquainted with my true self. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for the very deep learning that I cannot be this fearless creator while I'm at war with all of the scared parts. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for overcoming the resistance to accepting all the scared parts of me. Take a deep breath in. Thank you for learning this truth. We might have an instinctive reaction that when we accept the worst parts of ourselves, then that's who we'll be. Thank you for learning it's just not true. When we accept the worst parts of ourselves, we're being the soul who can hold all of these in pure love. One more big breath in. Well then, in your courage, you keep showing up for yourself. Instead of turning, instead of running, instead of numbing, you're turning towards. You're being with. You're staying. It takes the very strongest part of you to stay and not run. You really are a fearless creator. Doesn't mean you never feel fear, but it means you've learned that running from this never helps. Good morning, Nella. Hey, Charlene, good morning and thank you. Thanks, Anthony. Thanks, Sunday. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Whenever you feel a part of you crying, because it can feel that way, don't turn away, don't run, don't numb. Turn towards, stay. You can hold that part until it feels better. And from that, simply wholeness. These scared parts of us don't rule us because we allow them. They calm down because we allow them to exist. Their volume becomes a bit lower. Thank you, Nella. Thank you, Leshna. Have a beautiful day, everybody. Linda, I really appreciated all of the bubbles of love in the corner of my screen. Mwah. Big love to you all. Have an awesome day and see you soon. Ciao, ciao.